friends, neighbors, honored guests, as we are here this morning for our grand opening and ribbon cutting for the Williamson County Public Safety Center, for all the hard work that's gone into it. I'd ask you to stand. Reverend Williamson is going to give our invocation, and if you remain standing for the presentation of the colors and the singing of our national anthem.
Let us pray. Holy God, you are good, and we are filled and overflowing with thanksgiving and joy for this day. So we give you thanks, and we humble ourselves before you, Father, because we know that we would not be here today if it were not for you. You have provided leadership, you have provided courage, you have provided peace in relationships that have brought this vision into a very real reality. We pray for your presence here, that you would continue to lead and guide this city and this county and all of its leaders, that you would keep us peaceful, keep us open, keep us courageous, and bless us, Lord, in the way that we can honor you so people can look and they can see that you are good, that you are providing, and that you're real. We thank you for your faithfulness. In Jesus' name, amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
My name is Mac Purdy, and I have the distinct privilege today to introduce our guests and to welcome you. I'm one of the emergency managers here in Williamson County. And before I introduce those that are going to come up to speak, I'd kind of like to set the stage for where you're sitting today and why you're here. Want to give special thanks to Wes King for singing our national anthem. He'll come up again a little later. And a special thanks to our scouts from Troop 55 and Troop 13 for presenting our colors this morning. You know, as I prepared for today, thought about what I wanted to say and what I wanted to wear, it was kind of all laid out for me. Suits are pretty easy. It meant a white shirt. I got to pick a red tie, and I like lapel pins. And so I went to my dresser and looked, and I have some from hazardous materials training and classes that we've done, and some from some search and rescue schools that are fairly special to me. And I quickly pushed those aside, and there's some individual certifications and different things that I've gotten to be a part of and do, and there's the county seal and the American flag, and none of those made it either. And I stopped at one that I've seen actually a couple of people wearing today. You today are part of a community that is the only county in Tennessee that is emergency management accredited, one of less than 30 in the nation, and one of the only local communities accredited in Tennessee. But but that didn't make it either. One of our color guard has earned the rank of Eagle Scout. And there's a second class scout who will have his border review for first class here in a week, and 2 first class scouts. Now, if you look at the ranks, first class is about halfway to Eagle in numbers, but the life rank, which is the rank right before Eagle, is said to be halfway to Eagle. You know, I put my Eagle pin on, and I was reminded of one of my heroes, one of the quotations that he made, and I'd like to read it to you real quick. Baden-Powell, talking to some of his scouts, said this: "Be prepared to do that thing the moment the accident does occur. I will explain to you what ought to be done in the different kinds of accidents, and you must practice them as far as possible. But the great thing for you scouts to bear in mind is that wherever you are and whatever you are doing, you should think to yourself, what accident is likely to occur here, and what is my duty if it occurs?" You know, the scout motto is be prepared. 7 years ago, a public safety task force spent a year meeting and putting a dream together and a list of needs for our community. 6 years ago, on Friday, April 30th, storms and heavy rains moved into Tennessee. When you look at the disaster declaration from the state of Tennessee for the May 2010 floods, the disaster period starts on April 30th as emergency managers across our state began to make preparations for 2 days of rainfall that in many places would exceed the amount of rainfall that fell in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. Over 20 lives were lost and billions of dollars in damage. Many of you here experienced that firsthand or had neighbors that did, that worked in the response and recovery to those great storms. We're here so that our community can be better prepared. And I have the great honor to get to work with many of you every day to ask that question. What accident, what emergency could happen here, and what is my duty if it occurs? So the 3 people that you'll hear from today is, one is Bill Jorgensen, the Office of Public Safety Director. You'll hear from Sheriff Jeff Long, who most of you probably don't know served as Williamson County's first Civil Defense and Emergency Management Director in the late 1970s. But first, I'd like to introduce and bring up County Mayor Rogers Anderson.
It's my great pleasure to welcome all of you to this new facility. We are so appreciative for all of you taking time out this morning, particularly our elected officials, which we will identify here in a minute, and thank you for the hard efforts and the work that you put in. There were several county commissioners that invested in this project. You can see some of their names. Some of them have, actually we were out here the other day and a couple of them have actually passed on that were very big supporters of this facility. But today I would like to have the county commissioners are sitting here on my right and one to my immediate left. If you would stand, and I'd like to introduce you. Cheryl, you included. Bert, Commissioners Osbert, Judy. These are the men and women that pushed the button and they took the heat for the funding. These are the men and women that got into the trenches with us. Also this morning we have with us, very fortunate to have two of the aldermen from Franklin here, Mr. Skinner and Margaret Miller, both here, and along with the former Tom Fearborn. Would you all stand? And we have two state representatives, Charles Sargent, standing on the very front here, and Glenn Cassida, which had to leave. He had another meeting, but Charles, thank you for your help up in the House. I know you all just finished up. We'll take all the money that you can send Williamson County at any time. Thank you, Charles. You know, this public safety center is a result of a lot of tireless energy and enthusiasm and vision of a lot of community leaders, many of who served, you heard Mac talk about, on a special task force that was put together to look at our overall public safety and public emergency program. I was having a discussion a minute ago that at the national level there's nothing more important than the national security of our citizens. I believe that same model should be put in place in Williamson County, that there's nothing more important than the safety of our citizens that live in our county and what we bring to them during that particular time. I know the sheriff is going to talk in a few minutes about some of those safety issues that we faced back in May. But I want to say thank you very much to those task force members that gave up of their time and energy for well over a year, meeting on a monthly basis to help make this a reality and give us the insight we needed. So if you were a member of that task force, would you stand so that we can give you a special recognition? There were many disciplines that were in those rooms out at the Ag Park for many days. All points of our county, our cities, our law enforcement community from the cities, the public safety of every aspect in Williamson County was put together, and they hung in there till we got a finished product. It's important we think of this facility as a collaborative effort for all of the many emergency response personnel and volunteers that work throughout our county. For Mac Purdy and Bill Jorgensen, the project has been a labor of love, but it just wouldn't have been done without these two. I would like to say thank you. Both of these men are outstanding professionals, and they really do have the utmost respect from all of their peers all over the state, all over the county. They visited many facilities. They spoke with a lot of people in the different professions and the different disciplines, and they worked on every single detail to leave no stone unturned and ensure that this facility would meet the needs of those who utilizes it today, tomorrow, and in the many years to come. I also want to give a special shout out to a man to my immediate right. It would have been real easy for the sheriff to balk on this politically. There is no one in any community of the 95 counties that we've got across the state of Tennessee that doesn't know what a sheriff does. Half of the people don't know we've got a county mayor, but they all know what the sheriff does. And Jeff jumped on. He became a part of the team. He did his part, and Jeff, I say thank you for a job well done. A little bit later, you're going to go into a facility. You'll have access to the newest and the latest technology. We've built this space and all the equipment for the real scenario training that we need so desperately in our county, in our cities, and in our state. You will alongside your peers also see what the public safety is all about in Williamson County and the latest technology. It's kind of mind-boggling. And to all of the men and women that are standing around in the back in the uniform that are in this profession of emergency response that we call and roll up underneath public safety, I say thank you, and I give you my hats off as an applaud. Thank you very much. Now, every day they put their life on the line. In the world we live in today, it's often confusing to the general public. They are the best of the best, and I say thank you. May God bless each one of you that are serving in our community. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the tour today. And next, I would like to introduce a man that I didn't really have a brother, but he would certainly be one that I would consider. And that's no one else other than Sheriff Jeff Long. I think Marsha Blackbird, there she is, just got in. Marsha, thank you for taking time out.
Thank you, Mayor, for those kind remarks. This is a very special day for the first response system of Tennessee and Williamson County in particular. I want to congratulate Mayor Anderson and the County Commission in particular for the foresight to make plans that our emergency response system is protected for years to come. Most people are not concerned about emergency response or a need for an ambulance until they really need one. When their family member gets sick, that's when they realize about the emergency system. Or when their house is on fire, they need a fire response. That's when they think about the emergency system. They have a lost member of their family or a gas leak and they need the emergency management agency. That's when they think about the emergency system. Or they have someone breaking into their house while they're inside and need deputies or police officers to respond and try to catch the person as they're entering their residence and save them. All of those disciplines will work from this building. The cooperative effort of all of these different agencies will be displayed through this, through the dispatch system, through the various meetings that we'll have, through the various sessions of training that we do together on a regular basis. Williamson County will be at the forefront in our state in providing that protection to our citizens, which they deserve. The time of such facility need is now. As I told the County Commission, we all want to think of our community as being a small town feel or a small community feel. But we're now, unfortunately, becoming a metropolitan area. We're growing at a tremendous rate. We now have responsibilities that we would never have thought that we had in the past. We have worldwide companies locating in our community. With those worldwide companies come various threats and various needs that we've never had to address before. We will now, thanks to the mayor, the commission, and the supporters of this building, be able to address those needs. We have to provide the security and the safety of those corporations, their workers, and visitors to our area. As you travel on I-65, you're getting to an area where you can't really tell a dividing line anymore between Franklin and Nashville. Our community is growing so fast. Also, if you get out on 840 and you look at 840 and the traffic that's coming around Highway 840, the tremendous growth that we're experiencing, the need for the services that those businesses and citizens ask for and deserve, and that we're here to obligate to protect. The projections show our county growing at an unprecedented rate for the next several years. This is the right time for us to prepare for the future, and the need is now for this great facility to provide safety and security for our citizens. In May of 2010, we were standing in the Emergency Operations Center, the current one, and if you don't know what that is, that's in the basement of where you get your license plates and county offices. And the mayor and I had been out in the community, and I had asked him, we'd been in the room, I guess you call it the war room, where we were trying to make plans of how we were going to address the disaster. We had never had a disaster of that magnitude in Williamson County. We could not literally get from one part of the county to another for emergency response. Every time you would go somewhere, you would automatically be blocked by the floodwater. You try to go another way, you couldn't go that way. I know I was in Leapers Fork. We had $7 million worth of guitars on display, and we were out there for an event. It rained so quick, I got flooded in Leapers Fork. I called my wife, and I think that was on a Saturday, and told her I probably wouldn't see her until Monday. Luckily, it went down enough I could get out the back way, and then as I came around, I got on the Natchez Trace Parkway to try to get back into town, and there was a mudslide blocking the Natchez Trace Parkway. So I had to wait till they clear that a little bit to where I could get through. The importance of the story is that in the basement area, the hallway area, the mayor and I and Bill and Mac and all of us can vividly remember the water coming in the back door, flooding the dispatch area that would have dispatched every discipline for that disaster, and how it would have been total chaos if that had reached the dispatch center. I looked at the mayor that night and I promised him one thing, and I don't make a lot of promises, but I promised him one thing. We will be prepared from now on. Due to that, the commission's support, we now have swiftwater rescue teams, we have rescue rafts, we have equipment. Another quick story, we were rescuing people during the night of the flood, and we were in River Landing subdivision. We lacked 63 people getting evacuated out of a subdivision. We were using the National Guard, and we had the large 5-ton trucks that we were literally putting people on. I had deputies, and I didn't realize the seriousness of it at that time, honestly. I had deputies in the water, and I know the city of Franklin was the same way, and Brentwood and the others, that were literally wading water up to their chest level. And the electricity was still on in those subdivisions. I now realize how serious that was. But at midnight, I'll never forget, the major with the National Guard came to me and he said, "Sheriff, at midnight I have to pull out." And I said, "What do you mean you have to pull out?" I said, "We've got 63 people we still have to rescue." He said, "They're federalized. At midnight we go off state orders onto federal orders and we have to pull out." And I said, we can't. We got people who may drown if we don't get them out. So luckily we were able to make some phone calls. Luckily the Commissioner of Safety lived in Williamson County at that time, Dave Mitchell. Made a call to Dave Mitchell, who called the Adjutant General, got him extended, and we were able to rescue the rest of those people. So that's the need. That's how serious it got in May that a lot of people don't know. This building is going to be used for a variety of purposes. Our training staff for the Sheriff's Office are already located here. We will be doing all of our training through this facility. We have a detention academy where anyone that comes to work at the Sheriff's Office in our detention division goes through our own 6-week academy. They start Monday morning. They went through orientation on Friday, start on Monday morning. Also, we have a Citizens Academy every year, and many of you have attended that. We will be doing that through this. The cooperative effort through first responders and law enforcement is alive and well in Williamson County. We are so blessed in Williamson County to have the cooperation we have, the dedicated men and women that we have to serve you and to provide your security. Mac, Bill, I say congratulations to you on a fantastic building. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. I have the distinct honor of talking about the building. So, one of the first things I want to talk about are all people that worked on this facility. First, let me tell you though, I'm very humbled by the turnout today. It is extremely humbling. Can you not hear me? I'm sorry. Is that better? Great. I was saying, Tim, I'm humbled to be here today, if you can hear me now. So, first, I would like to thank our architect, Thomas Miller Partners. I know Larry Hart's here, Jeff Earwood. Thank you for working with us on this facility. And I know it wasn't easy all the time, but we got through it. It's kind of like building a house. My wife, Lee, would tell me that we're probably going to get divorced over building this house, right? We made it through it, and we're not divorced, and y'all are working on other projects, so thank you very much. Also, our construction and selecting the architect, let me say, was a long process. We had people flying in from California, and we interviewed architects, and we required them to have built facilities like this in the past, so they had to partner with other companies to bring that to the table. So it was very competitive, and I'm glad a local company was able to be invested in this facility. The construction management company, the parent company, I know I saw Joel here, and then Carden, and also Gary Bowens here, and he's actually the guy that built the building. The first guy, Butch Dunovant, was here. He was the construction manager to start with, and he started having health problems. I think this building may have overwhelmed him a little bit, but luckily he's out on the emergency services station now in Goose Creek building that facility. So thank you, parent company. The other mechanical, structural, civil, landscape, they're all on this board up here that was posted in front of the building through the entire construction process. Other contractors of note, Verizon Wireless is working hard in this facility, Motorola, Voltel working on all the audio and visual. Adaptaspace provided the EOC furniture, and I think somebody flew in from Adaptaspace to be here today. Bramick provides the dispatch furniture. IDS, another local company, Interior Design, provide all the office furniture that you will see when you go through this facility in a little bit. Tyco's here, access control, and the list goes on, and there's 19 different trades that were working here very hard and being managed by the parent company and Thomas Miller Partners. So thank you to all of you for all that hard work. And then also, I've got to mention property management. So Williamson County Property Management, under the guidance of Keith Feinstein and Kevin Benson. I haven't seen Kevin here today, but Keith's here. And thank you so much for getting into the trenches, Keith, and working so hard on this facility and making it a reality. As you look at this facility that's going to support emergency services, it's going to support emergency services for a long time. When I talk to people about this facility, I call it a 100-year facility. And I really think this facility will be here for 100 years. It's going to get gutted, renovated. There's no telling what the technology will look like 10 years from now. But it's going to be here for 100 years. I have to say that the table has been set by this facility. Every square foot of this critical infrastructure was mission-driven during design and through construction. All spaces are multi-use that can serve many functions. One of the most important aspects of the facility is that it promotes not only collaborative and productive work environment, but it is also a healthy work environment. There's many spaces for our partners to come together and work with others on that important public safety mission. This structure, and you'll see more information in your program, but this structure can withstand 250-mile-an-hour sustained winds, a direct hit from an F5. Now I have to say, I asked the architect, have you ever had any of your facilities taken a direct hit from an F5? And the answer was no. Well, then how do you know it's going to sustain this, right? But through all that process, we know that this facility will still be standing. It has seismic protection, redundant power sources, including being fed from 2 substations, generator power, uninterruptible power supply power to keep the facility running between commercial power and generator power. Even has a 2,000 gallon water tank. As we go around this facility, we talk about, it started as a 20,000 gallon water tank. You know how big that was? We just didn't realize it at the time, but we that's a new term for me, value engineering. We did a lot of value engineering on this facility to bring it within the budget guidelines. But what we didn't sacrifice was the mission of this facility. These are just some of the components that will make sure that the services that this facility and this building provide keep functioning even during the worst of times. Now, I've talked about the building, but there's really another critical part of the complex that the architect didn't provide, and that's the dedicated, professional, paid, and volunteers working in this facility. From the administrative staff, the custodian, to the IT support, law enforcement, fire, emergency medical services, emergency management, and even schools is in here. And I bet somebody's thinking right now, I skipped over communications, but I'm coming to that. Another very important part of this public safety chain of events that happen are the 911 telecommunicators. As we kicked off National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week, honoring all of our telecommunicators just a few weeks ago, we had a flag raising ceremony in the front of this facility. It was great. Some of our telecommunicators were here during that. We have taken that flag down. We flew it during the week of Telecommunicator Week, and we have taken that flag down and have properly folded it, and we are going to encase it and save it and put it in the display case as the first flag flown over this facility during National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week. When the 911 personnel move into this facility in the fall, we will be having another ceremony. Not only celebrating just the move into this new facility, but a team will be formed with the consolidation of dispatch between Williamson County and the city of Franklin. This new team will be providing those critical 911 services at a higher level and will be better prepared for what is coming in the future. It's coming. I want to share with you an experience that I recently had on 840. My youngest daughter, Lauren, who's sitting here today, my whole family's here, and thank you for coming. But, we're on our way to a volleyball practice. She does travel volleyball. We were on 840, and we were heading towards Columbia Pike from Carter's Creek Pike. And we just topped a hill, and there was a car sliding across 840 on its top that had been crushed in. The dust had just settled. We pulled up to the scene. I walked up there and looked inside, and there was somebody trapped in the vehicle. I called 911 and reached the county dispatch center and talked with Jill Orange, the supervisor that evening, and that calming voice was there with me while I was on the scene. I felt kind of out of place. I was in my personal vehicle. I wasn't in my work truck. I didn't have gear or anything. I'm just another citizen there, just like everybody else that stopped. But I want to talk for a second about the community that rallied on 840 at that moment. I didn't mention the vehicle was also on fire and the girl was trapped in the vehicle. I want to thank the citizen who held the hand of the person that was trapped in the vehicle, the UPS driver that ran over, this is before emergency services arrived, the UPS driver that showed up with the fire extinguisher and put the fire out in the engine compartment, what was left of it. And again, the calming voice on the other end of that 911 call. The sheriff's office showed up, providing support and making sure the scene was safe for all the responders. EMS was there providing patient care, climbing into the vehicle, and providing that medical attention that that lady needed at the time. The rescue squad volunteers, and I say volunteers, the entire stretch of 840, all of it, from Rutherford County all the way to the west, is covered by volunteer firefighters, providing fire suppression and extrication. Those are the type of people that are represented by this building. Those are the type of people that are serving and protecting Williamson County right now as we sit here. As you walk around this building in a few minutes, think about what this building represents. You will walk into the Emergency Operations Center today and probably be amazed by what you see. You will walk through the 911 center that is still being assembled and think it's pretty cool. As you walk around, think about what our paid and volunteer staff will be doing during that next ice storm or that other significant natural or man-made event. The quiet 911 center today will soon be lit up with over 100 911 calls being received each day. And people are not calling to chat with us when they call 911. They are calling because they need these dedicated servants to help them in their time of need. As you leave here today in the days and years to come, and you see emergency responders going around the county, or yourself need emergency services, know that that critical chain of events during an emergency starts right here in this facility with all of our partners. In closing, I do want to thank the county commissioners that continue to support all the public safety efforts that are brought before you. I know it's challenging sometimes, but I do thank you. Our city and our town partners throughout Williamson County, I thank you. Our emergency services team members, paid and volunteer, our great staff, and all the disciplines from communications, EMS, EMA, law enforcement, and fire. The county department heads and other leaders in our community that are so giving and willing to help whenever needed. The Williamson County Emergency Communications District Board, who's represented here today, who has been supporting 911 in Williamson County since 1988. Thank you. I especially want to thank Mayor Anderson for his leadership and his team in the mayor's office for supporting public safety. Again, the table has been set, and we have been spreading the word to our partners that the doors are open, and they are coming. Everyone has a seat at this table. Thank you.
I get to be the MC because they didn't want to give me a long block to talk, but they let me come up more than once. You know, our architect and construction manager, Thomas Miller and Partners, and the parent company have actually done something else. And Mr. Mayor, if you'd stand up here with me for just a second. One of the things that we've been able to do over the last few years is establish a partnership with the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee, a nonprofit. And in looking forward to today, both Thomas Miller Partner and parent company have given $500 to the Williamson County Disaster Fund that has been established to support those in Williamson County that are impacted by a significant emergency or disaster. And we have not seeded that fund yet. And so with the opening of this facility, that fund is established, but there's no money in it. And so thanks to Thomas Miller and parent company, we will begin that fund as well today. So give Thomas Miller and parent company a hand. There are a couple of other people that we would be remiss if I didn't bring them up today, and I could probably list everyone's name here, but there are two gentlemen here that have helped with this project in different roles, both from Emergency Communications District and leadership in our city of Franklin, as well as leadership in some previous roles they held. So Tom Fairborn is here, and he's been mentioned already. What you may not know is that he served for a number of years as the State Emergency Management Director in Oklahoma. and was in that role during the Oklahoma City bombings. Additionally, Jim Bassham, retired Major General and former Director of the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency, is here with us today. Thank you all for being here and for your work supporting us. And also thanks to our team of partners who are here. There are a number of them that work with us day to day, and thank you. Let's give them a hand. I'd now like to ask a friend of mine, Wes King, to come up. And Wes is one of our Williamson County citizens and a good friend. He has numerous Dove Awards and over 20 #1 contemporary Christian hits. He just finished a project, Christian project, Christmas project that will come out this fall with Michael W. Smith. And he's going to sing a song for us that I asked him to sing. He wrote right after 9/11. Before he sings that, I want to put it in context for us. I got to spend a week a few months ago with my daughter's 8th grade class and go as a chaperone to Washington, D.C. And in our travels and looking at the different monuments and all the different sites, something stood out to me. That everywhere we went, whether it was a war memorial or whether it was something about the Great Depression or the Civil Rights Movement, I realized that everywhere we went, there was this testament to our country's travel through struggle. That there were individuals who met the brokenness in our world and saw their neighbors through that time of struggle. This building, when we come to work every day, when our responders come to a training class, as great as it is, should remind us of the seriousness of the work that we do. Because when we go to work, it's because there are people that are in struggle. I had the distinct honor to serve in the Tennessee Army National Guard and the Army Reserve. And in 2005, I got orders to go to Iraq. As our family got that news, Wes's family got news that he had cancer. I've been home 10 years. Wes has been cancer-free for 10 years. So when you come and walk through this building, don't let us forget that we're here to do serious work and that we're here to help our neighbors through struggle. This song, There She Stands, will remind everyone both of what we do here and about that day on 9/11 when our country saw struggle. Wes?
We're on a shoestring budget here, sharing mics. It is such an honor to be here with you this morning, with all of you. Mac Purdy and I are buddies. It's so good to have a buddy like Mac for so many different reasons. This song, kind of a funny story about it. When I was working on it with my friend Michael W. Smith, he wrote the music, and he called me up one day. I was halfway done with a song, and he said, "Hey, buddy, you got a lyric for me? I'm about to go on in front of 10,000 people." And I was like, okay. So I got on the computer, and I wrote the rest of it out. Goes something like this. When the night seems to say all hope is lost, it's has gone away. But I know I'm not alone. By the light she stands. There she waves, faithful friend, shimmering stars, westward wind, carry me, show the way to the place she stands. Just when you think it might be over, just when you think the hope is gone, someone will risk his life to save her. There she stands. There she flies. Clear blue skies. Reminds us with red of those who died, washed in white by the brave. In their strength she stands. When evil calls itself a martyr, then all your hopes come crashing down. Someone will pull her from the rubble. There she stands. We've seen her fly and torn and tattered. We've seen her stand the test of time. But through it all, the fools have fallen. There she stands. By the dawn's early light, and through this fight she stands. God bless America.
Thank you, Wes. So I'm going to give a couple of instructions. We're almost done. In just a second, we're going to do the ribbon cutting, and I've got some friends that are going to come up and help us reset the stage. Following the ribbon cutting, you are all invited to come walk through the facility, and public safety, emergency management, communication staff will be scattered throughout the facility to kind of guide you. It'll be a self-guided tour. That said, Bill and myself will be available for county commissioners and other elected officials. We'd like to give you a guided tour, and so after the ribbon cutting, Bill and I will meet you all right up over here to our left and your right, and give you a tour. And stay as long as you want afterwards. If you have questions or specific questions for us, we'll definitely be around the facility. So I'll ask the mayor and the sheriff and Bill to come up as we reset the stage real quick for our ribbon cutting. We didn't rehearse this.
she stands. There she waves, faithful friend, shimmering stars, westward wind, carry me, show the way to the place she stands. Just when you think it might be over, just when you think the hope is gone, someone will risk his life to save